Good evening. Design Review Board 2 public meeting of November 4th, 2010 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves and during the meeting. Please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker's cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You'll be called to present a case or speak on a specific item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current DRB agendas are available by calling our DRB hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and DRB reconsiderations and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at his or her discretion. Roll call. Mr. Baladian is absent. Mr. Garagos.
Here.
Mr. Malikian. Ms. Sakai.
Here.
Mr. Zarifian is absent. Report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on October 28th of 2010. World Communications, is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on an item not a part of this agenda?
I have no cards.
No cards. Okay. Then we are down to the regular calendar. Really, the only staff announcement I have is just to remind you that this is your only meeting in November. The November 18th meeting, which would normally be a Board 2 meeting, is a Board 1 meeting due to the holidays we have this month. We have nothing under the consent calendar, and so we're down to the regular agenda items.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Welcome one and all. We are starting with 2 PDR 2010-037-A 3238 Montrose Avenue. With the Clary book. Is there?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As you mentioned, the case number for this project is 2 PDR 2010-037A, located at 3238 Montrose Avenue. This is a first-time submittal for final review. The proposal is to demolish the existing detached garage and build a new detached 1,430 square foot second unit and two car garages attached to the newly proposed unit, one of which will have direct access to the new unit, and the second one will have direct access to the existing house. The subject property is located in the R3050 zone, and the existing house was built in 1952. There are no environmental constraints. It is exempt from CEQA. The property slopes down from the street level towards the back of the property. It slopes down and has an elevation difference of about 3 to 4 feet, which we will get into how it affects to the overall visibility of the proposed unit. Staff has been going over this project, working with the applicant for quite some time, and various alternatives or versions have been presented. It is in fact a different style of house from what is there now from the existing front unit. Overall massing, however, matches, even though it's a two-story home, the overall massing matches the existing house, but the design, architectural design, is completely different, and staff believes that it is acceptable to have a different type of architecture since they are two separate structures. That is why staff supports this project with 2 recommended conditions. One is to replace the proposed vinyl windows with fiberglass for future, if the future tenants or the homeowner wants to paint it, at least they have the opportunity or the option to paint them to different colors. And also to use grasscrete, turf block, or other type of permeable surfaces for the outdoor portion, which is not part of the common outdoor area, the code required common outdoor area, but it is part of the driveway area that leads to the garages, and it's also connected with the outdoor area, the code-required outdoor area. This way, they can connect it to at least make the overall common outdoor space feel and look bigger, and provide a more usable outdoor space in front of the two garages, instead of having just concrete. So that is my brief presentation. If you have questions, I am available. The applicant and the homeowner are here also in the audience.
I have a question for staff. Do you have any questions for staff?
Yes.
There's a balcony on the west side of the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
There. Was there any thought in terms of what is happening with the unit, with the apartment next door? Is that a private area for their side, or is there any kind of privacy issues with that adjacent building?
Are you looking at the west elevation?
Yeah. That back balcony would be happening right over where that side area on the adjacent property.
I do not believe so. I will let the architect address that question. From what I understand from my site visit, I do not believe it's going to create privacy conflicts, but I'll let the architect address that
Okay.
question.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you very much. I have one card. Karan Kaudurian. State your name and address, please. Kadikian, sorry.
For the record, my name is Karan Kudikian. My address is 221 East Glenox, Suite 230, Glendale. Well, we worked with staff quite some time, as Geborg said, discussing various alternates, and this is the final result that we feel is acceptable to my client as well as to the city, the staff. The remaining approvals that we need to get is yours. So it's up to you to approve so we can move forward with the project. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. To answer your specific question about the privacy, the balcony is immediately adjacent to a carport at the adjacent property, and the building is, and then there is a driveway separation.
That's a driveway coming down on that side?
Right.
Okay. So it's overlooking the driveway of the adjacent
Right.
parcel. Okay.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Because I can't really see the details, so a couple quick questions. The windows that you're proposing are the wood-clad windows, right?
Yes.
And right now, as you're proposing, it's
Well, no, that looks like a vinyl clad wood windows.
vinyl-clad wood windows, okay. So my question is, as it's shown, it's a nylon window, correct?
Uh-huh,
So
correct.
the details of these are basically, you're going to be nailing these onto the framing and stuck with the
Flush.
right on.
Yeah.
What is this window?
That's a garden window.
Okay. And then the doors that you have, I'm assuming whatever you,
Would be the same treatment, correct.
the railing details, are they pipe railings, are they cable railings?
No, pipe, not a cable, no.
So these pipes are going to go all the way across, there's no
Well,
horizontal members?
There will be, maximum is about 6 feet, I would say. Every so 6 feet down.
Do you have any idea the sizes of these
An inch and a half, well, the pipe itself,
pipe itself?
inch and a half at most.
And these, number 5, you're calling out metal fascia.
Yeah.
What, can you explain a little bit about what they are?
Well, it would be something of something like aluka bond, something, nice finish that will match the metal roofing.
And my last question, this horizontal dashed line, I'm assuming it's this
That's
steel-
the beam underneath. Uh-huh. that would be painted, like intumescent paint, just to.
Any reason, I mean, you guys are going through all these expense, any reason that you guys didn't look into block window system, aluminum block window that gives more of this modern look rather than a typical nail-on that you would find in more of a traditional homes, whereas when you go into...
You can introduce as an option if my client agrees. We will be.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any more
Other
questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak on this topic? Okay, hearing none. Who would like to start?
I have no issues with the project. I think it looks, to me, it looks fine. I think the landscaping is well done, and I like how they addressed the common space and they landscaped it, and they put hedges, privacy hedges around the perimeters, that there's a nice setback from the side properties, and they're landscaping it, so I think that's a good idea. And I just agree with staff's recommendation to use the grasscrete in the garage zone, I guess you'd call it.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have a problem with a modern versus an older house, and a lot of cases you would find the similarities or matching the two buildings. They'll always become an issue. Are you going to upgrade the front versus are you going to match the details from? In this case, the front is the front unit, the back is the back unit, which it gives us a little bit of give me the little bit of an ease that. Okay, I'm just going to look at the back unit rather than the front unit. I don't know if I would match the colors front and back, so I don't know if that was the intent. I would probably keep the back unit as its own unique color, unique system. Being a modern house, I look at it as more of a minimalist kind of a detailing. So when you're looking at a minimalist kind of an approach to a design, the details play a huge role because all it is just boxes and volumes and details. And I appreciate the extent that the architect went through and adding a Lucabon type aluminum system. I think using some finer detailed railings rather than tubing would be a better solution there, a little bit creating a little bit more of a minimalist rather than more of the bulkier, the 80s look exactly. So I think maybe even getting into cable system or other types of finer elements there. The other concern that I have, which I think can be simply solved, is punching these windows. I mean, I really like the way that it's kind of located, these randomly placed. Obviously, they have a purpose in the so these edges lined up, and it's thin and narrow, and it's proportioned properly. And same thing with this. It creates this volume here and here. But unfortunately, it's a nylon. It's a nylon system that I think that kind of takes away. And if you can imagine, you have this tall, almost 13-foot wall that you have these windows just flush with the stucco, which I think that really brings back the 80s kind of the look. I think a recessed, some sort of a recessed element, maybe pushing the windows in, creating some shadows and some elements there that I think will definitely give a much more stronger feel of what the intent is. I'm not really sure I would go with a garden style unless it's what I would have done to create this garden style. I would have maybe had a special steel plate made that it would come out, 18 inches deep, angles come out, and then you would just build a piece of glass and then just put it in there, insert it in there, and have that element rather than go and pick up one garden window from Home Depot and put it in. And I think those are the details that are missing from this to make it, bring it to the next level. I don't know if I would use the normal, ordinary front doors and ordinary garage doors. I think I would get into more of these aluminum storefront, U.S. aluminum kind of doors, clear anodized with the storefront frosted, maybe frosted glass doors. And then I would even get into more of a clopay style garage doors where you have these aluminum with, translucent glasses there. But overall, I think it's nice. I think it's just these little fine details that will bring this to the next level. So I think that other than that, I think I'm fine with it. So.
Okay. I think some of the issues were more general for me. I think not a big fan of the color of the front house, so I don't know if I want to match the back house to it. Also, there was sort of an issue that come up on other projects where the only differentiation that would happen would be the color of the plaster, which is, again, sort of that 80s kind of feel. And it would be nice if there was maybe a material change that would happen with that. And I think it could help to possibly soften it slightly where it might relate a little bit more to the front house. Even though there's not maybe a siding element or something like that on the main house, there's other elements to the front house which, even though it's just stucco, add interest, even on a simple house like that. So, whereas you're not doing anything on the front house, I mean, even if there was a dialogue in terms of how the roof was done, I mean, maybe the front house had a metal roof also, and that was some way of kind of tying the two together, because if you are really doing a stucco box and the front house is a stucco box, there is a relationship between the two that could be developed. And I think if that was developed, then it becomes a whole project. The whole site becomes one project, as opposed to something that's happened in the back, and there's this kind of orphan house out in front, of the two. So, looks like there's already 2 votes for it, so I won't cause too much of a stink. But I wish it had a little bit more to it, and I think one other element I was thinking about is on something that small, when there's so much going on it, it seems like it needed a little bit more strength in terms of an organizing element three-dimensionally to it. But I think it's in the back, and I think my other colleagues are supportive, so I won't go on too long. But otherwise, I think it was an interesting way of solving a difficult problem with those back units, the second units. So, somebody wants to make a motion?
Before we do, I'd like to go over
Sure.
the comments quickly. Okay, so Mr. Kai stated that landscaping was done properly, and you agree with staff's recommendations, including the second recommendation to provide grasscrete or earth blocks at the center portion of the 2 garages. Mr. Malikian had a few comments, and I would like to know if these are meant to be conditions or considerations as well. They had to do with most of the comments were
It's detail-oriented.
detail-oriented
so I
comments,
think,
exactly. So
none of them really would affect, other than the garage door and the front door. The rest of them are, the windows you're already recommending. I'm going a little bit beyond it, rather than,
providing a recessed aluminum
I
windows.
think rather than the boxed windows, more of a Fleetwood type window.
You want to call out for an inset on the window?
I think I want to, because, see, the thing is, it's either you do a nail-on and then you create some sort of a furring or something to create the depth. So maybe that you do use a double studs or something there that kind of give that, if you want to still stick to the nail-on system, you do a double layer to kind of create these depth in the windows, or you use 2x6 framing and then
Recess
just
the
put a
window.
boxed window that it actually goes in. You don't want to have a stucco and the window all in the same line on a 13-foot wall that is facing. It just doesn't, it's not going to really, at the end, you're not going to see that.
So you
I
would
think
want
I
to-
do want to have that as a condition.
So regarding the color of the front and the back unit, you stated
I
it would be
think-
better to have unique and different colors
I
for the back
think
unit.
it needs to be unique on its own. I mean, it can be, and it's
So
up to them if they
recommendation?
want to paint the front, but I'm mainly concerned about the back, and I'm okay with the colors that they sample. Obviously, it's not that pale green and pink, so I'm looking at the material board, so I'm happy with the colors on the material board.
Okay, so you would recommend to match the front unit with the back unit?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Not match.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Not
To
match,
Not match.
yeah.
Make sure they're separate.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize.
I might, right, it's
the
a
same
consideration.
Could be
It's not-
tonal, it could be tonal
Yeah,
off it.
exactly.
Maybe a darker tone so that it was...
And
Yeah,
providing
otherwise-
more finer detailed railings such as cable?
I don't
Okay,
think
that
they
as a
should be
recommend-
piped railings. I think it needs to be a little bit finer, even if it's a flat plate, kind of have a horizontal, kind of thinner line, cable, flat.
So again, that would be a
More of
condition as well?
Yeah, I mean, they can Google that and find many different examples of,
And you had an,
Garage door shouldn't be a raised panel, it should be a flat
Yeah,
panel.
and the front door as
yeah,
well.
and it can be aluminum, it can be stainless steel.
you're talking about the front door?
Front door and the garage door.
And the garage door.
And the garden window, you had an interesting comment, which I don't know if there's a
The
particular word
garden
for it.
window, I don't think, I don't have a problem with the garden window. I think it needs to be a little bit more thought through rather than picking an off-the-shelf Home Depot. I mean, if you're doing a modern building, then that can be a design feature on its own.
Could be a framed element.
It
that
can be a
popped out.
framed metal piece of framed element that a glass is inserted in there. It doesn't have to be a typical garden window that you can put in.
And that would also be a recommended condition, or a recommendation?
Yes.
Consideration,
It's
you
a
know.
Consideration or a condition?
I think it's a condition.
That, the
Yes.
garden window?
Yeah,
Yes.
all those were conditions, I think.
I think pretty much everything is a
All those were
Okay.
conditions.
Really elevates this.
I think it'll just bring the same. I mean, we're not changing anything. It's just more of the details that are.
Okay. And Mr. Garagos, you added a comment regarding the front unit and the back unit and how somehow
There's
they could
nothing we
be
can
tied.
obligate them to on the front. It just, I think, it would be nice if the two communicated somehow. And I
Consider
think,
design elements for the front unit to communicate with the back unit.
yeah. I mean, I personally would be great if the two roofs matched
Okay.
myself, but
All right.
You mean the material of the roof?
material,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm going to just ask for a little bit more detail on your comments. Regarding having the front and the rear unit complement each other a little bit better, you'd
I didn't
mentioned...
think we had control of that. Is that true or not?
Well,
We do.
To the extent that you have control over the rear unit.
Yeah, to
Right.
the rear unit.
But no modifications of the front if they're not proposing any modifications, right?
Correct.
The board has done that in the past, asked for additional scope when it wasn't provided, but if we give the applicant a menu of choices, so one of the choices might be to modify the front roof to a metal roof, another choice might be...
That can only be a consideration based on what Mike Garcia.
Well, as an example, because you're also giving them the option. What we heard was you would give them the option of adding siding to a couple of the elements to add. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Rather than just color, that there was a
rather than
material
just
change.
color. So because there are a number of different elements that make up the second unit, perhaps a couple of those elements could be pulled out in siding that would provide a little bit more texture that the front unit has. And the front unit, even though it's stuccoed, has that texture in the windows and the roof and so on.
But
So
you can't just systematically pick certain materials and just plug it in. I think you need to look at an overall picture. So I think it could be
I don't know if I can condition it. I'm just saying
more of a consideration than.
so that whole
that's fine.
that whole piece is a consideration with those examples on it. And then the windows, does the applicant have a choice between fiberglass, aluminum, and just simply not vinyl, or are you calling for aluminum?
I think my first choice would be an aluminum window.
Okay,
My second choice would be a fiberglass that can be painted to look like, some modern, the problem is with some of the fiberglass and vinyl, like similar to those, they have these little rounded details and features there. You don't have that crisp, clean look of an aluminum Fleetwood type windows that a modern architecture kind of looks for.
Okay, so are you asking the condition to include aluminum Fleetwood-type windows?
Yeah, and then there are other types. I mean, there's Fleetwood, there's Arcadia, there's U.S. aluminum, there's...
But that they should be aluminum rather than...
That would be my first choice, but they can... I mean, if they have another brand that they... I don't want to give a specific...
Right, but aluminum rather than fiberglass or another material. We
That would
just
be
want
my
to be
first
clear.
choice. And if
clear.
it is going towards a fiberglass, I would probably minimize the amount of curves and roundedness and everything and make it a little bit more modern, like the way it's rendered, than going with more of the traditional detailing.
Okay, and then on the front door and the garage door, we heard a couple of different things. We heard that it could be a solid panel or it could be like a storefront type with...
They
okay.
used one on the upstairs on the balcony, so they can even use the same door downstairs, but make it a frosted glass or put a film behind it or something to make it a little bit more obscure than
But it could also be solid.
be solid, whatever.
Yeah.
It could be
Okay, just wanted to understand
Not,
that
not
they had that.
panelized or, just a smooth, clean look.
Okay, and then the condition was also that the garden window should not be a prefabricated window, but
If it's a garden window they're looking for, it shouldn't be an off-the-shelf kind of,
Okay.
because the off-the-shelf ones, they're not made to fit in this architecture.
okay. I think
Unless they
we have a
find one that it
clarification
is
on
off the
that.
shelf and it is very clean and modern, and you guys can make the decision.
Okay,
Do you want recessed windows? Not,
I don't want the windows to be flush with the stucco exterior. I need them to have
need
some
some
depth.
recess.
Yeah, it needs to be some recess.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's up to them if they want to fur out the wall, they want to get a deeper wall and put the windows in, they want to
Okay.
use 2 layers of 2x4s, nail it onto the back, put another layer in the front. Whatever they want to do, it's up to them, but they're just deeper windows.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion to approve the project with conditions and considerations made by Mr. Malikian and second by Ms. Sakai. This is a roll call. Mr. Malikian?
Yes.
Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
Chairman Gergos?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to be moving on to our second one. It's 3700 Los Olivos. Mr. Gong.
Good evening, board members and Chairman Garagos. The next item before you is located at 3700 Los Olivos Lane, case number 2 PDR 2010-027-A. The project is being submitted for the first time for final review. The applicant is proposing to construct a 610 square foot addition to an existing single-family residence. The subject parcel is a corner lot bounded to the north by Los Olivos Lane. To the south, to the west, to the east is Lauderdale Avenue. The lot has an area of approximately 6,700 square feet and is zoned R1 floor area District 2. The site currently contains a 1,456 square foot one-story residence and a detached 2-car garage designed in a minimal traditional style. The garage is accessible from Lauderdale Avenue, and the overall site has a gradual downward slope in the north to south direction. So essentially, if you look at the site plan, the garage is lower than the house. The addition will be located to the east of the existing building, which will be closest to Lauderdale Avenue, and will take advantage of the sloping topography. The addition will also consume some of the existing open space, but will not impact the existing outdoor living area to the rear of the house and the rear of the garage. The proposed site planning of the addition follows the shape of the lot and the changing grade. The mass and scale of the building has been addressed. This property is located in the Dunsmore neighborhood, so while there's no particular style that is prominent in the area, the focus in this neighborhood is both mass and scale. And based on the project as proposed before you, staff believes that this has been appropriately addressed. For example, the addition is stepped below the existing ridge of the existing resident, again taking advantage of the changing grade, therefore creating a break in the roof ridge and providing a varied roof line. The wall is undulated, providing movement along the east elevation, and also the shape of the addition helps in achieving an appropriate mass. The project will be, the addition will match the existing style of the residence. However, it will be clad in horizontal siding. The house does not have any siding at this moment. Additional siding will be added under the gable of the existing, I believe on the west elevation. And new windows will be provided. The windows are fiberglass. Some of the window styles, staff believe that are not appropriate because they're sliding windows, given the traditional style of the house. Either casement or double hung windows, single hung windows are more appropriate. However, overall, the texture that exists in the finishes, such as the siding and the stucco and the composition roof shingle, provide an interest, a visual interest, as well as textual interest to the overall project. So as a whole, staff believes that this is appropriate and the project maintains the scale and rhythm of the neighborhood, and therefore we recommend approval of the project with some recommended conditions. Again, the conditions that's reflected in the staff report, some of these items have been provided or identified on the drawings. However, because staff feels that they are important, it should be included should there be questions in the future concerning proposed changes to them. So if you like, I can go over these conditions.
Yeah, please.
The horizontal siding should be constructed of wood or cementitious material, such as hardy plank, and should not include vinyl siding. All new windows should have dimensional divided lights on the exterior of the glass pane. The entry door and any doors visible from the public right-of-way should be of the same or similar style as the design depicted on the north elevation, which are basically panel doors. Presently, siding is only provided on the front of the garage, as shown in the perspective drawings. While it is not proposed, the north wall of the garage, which is readily visible from the public right-of-way along Lauderdale Avenue, should be clad in the same siding that is proposed on the addition to achieve consistency. Sliding windows should not be used in the project given the design of the residence. Traditional style windows, such as casement or hung windows, are a more appropriate alternative. And 6, the post supporting the front covered porch should remain square with simple decoration. Any railings that may be required should be constructed of wood, reflecting a simple design. And the new landscape palette shall be of drought-tolerant and/or California-friendly plant. If I may add, windows should also be recessed. That was not included in the staff report. And that concludes my presentation.
I have a question.
The architect and property owners are here to speak more on the project if you would like.
What is the allowable overhang projection for roof within the setback?
30 inches.
30 inches. So the roof can overhang into setback
30 inches, yes.
It looks like his window schedule is showing only fixed and double hung.
If you look at the drawing, some of the arrows,
Okay, I was looking at his window schedule.
made staff believe that the sliding windows.
These are existing.
Okay, we can get that clarified. Okay, anything else for staff? Okay, I have one card from Bob Blackwell. Can you state your name and address, please, for the record?
Yes, hi. My name is Bob Blackwell. I live at 7836 Wentworth Street in Sunland, California.
Okay.
First, I want to say that the owners are here, and this has been their house for about 20 years. So they've raised their children here. They plan to stay in this house. It's not like they're fixing it up to move on. So that's what led to most of the decisions based on the house. We are very concerned because we are in a corner. So we wanted to try to take the design that when we're adding on to wrap it around the corner on the north side, the east side, and anything that's visible from the street. This has to do with the roofing, the siding materials, the windows, and even the landscaping and some of the walkways. And we have some wainscoting on the walls, so that it looks like facing on the east side that the house is sitting basically on some rock walls to kind of go with the other landscaping that's there. We are anticipating taking out mostly everything on the east side is now lawn, so we're going to take that out, and we suggest to put in small walkways with irregular walkways and some kind of water-wise or drought-tolerant plants in that area. We are suggesting one small tree to be on the east side right next to the walkway that comes off of Lauderdale, just kind of to help break up the scale from the house and the street.
Just to clarify that one window issue, is the intent to do either the fixed or the casement or double hung?
Absolutely. We agree with all the conditions.
Okay.
We have no problem with any of them.
Okay. Very good.
I have a question on the landscaping. You have a walkway from the driveway that goes to that's the back door, the new side door.
Yes.
And then that walkway continues on into the east garden. Does that east garden then connect to the front? Or is there
The one
grade
right
change?
along Lauderdale?
Yeah, so you have like stepping
Yeah,
stones that
well,
go
we have a walkway from the garage to get in the back door of the house. And then along Lauderdale, right now it's a single slope. It's grass. When it does rain or get watered, most of the water tends to drain right down to the bottom. So we're proposing making 3 small tiers that are about a foot and a half in each level. And that way to contain the water, and so that what you see is landscaping or walkways, basically stepping stones just to get in to maintain that area. But overall, there will be a ground cover and then a few plants around.
in the front area under the pine tree. Can you get into that area? Is that ground cover around this brick edging?
Yes.
Is around the pine tree? Is that just to kind of for
It's
look?
just kind of define the difference between where the lawn is and the area under the tree. Right now, with the fence that's along Lauderdale that wraps around to Los Olivos, it's a slump box fence with no top cap on it. So we propose to put a cap on there and then use that cap on all the different planter areas and also in this area you're talking about to kind of tie in all the different planting areas with basically just with the cap. There is brick in the rear of the house, and there's some planting areas back there that have they're little brick walls, probably 12 inches high. So we're looking to match the color of that just to tie them all together.
For the cap?
Yeah.
Or the wall itself?
Yes.
Cap is
Yeah.
a brick and the wall's a slump stone.
Same color as that, yeah.
Okay.
Probably more of something with more texture to go with the slump block and the other paving. But color-wise, we wanted to kind of get a dark terracotta or dark brownish terracotta to tie them together.
Okay. Any questions for applicant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Seeing no other cards, we'll open it up for discussion. Your turn.
Well, actually, I appreciate that the addition really matches the existing house. I think that you've done a good job in making it feel like the house has already looked like that from the beginning, and even though you've added about more than half the square footage to the existing house. And I think that landscaping-wise along Lauderdale Avenue, it's a good idea, like you were saying, the water kind of sheets down because it's just a slope. lawn's always a good idea to get rid of in this kind of drought situation. So I like the idea of planting. It was a little difficult to read your drawing just because I think maybe if you'd not used grid paper underneath it, then it would be easier to read where things go, and the lettering is kind of all over the place. So in looking at the larger drawing, my only concern, and I'm not quite sure if this is a concern because, again, I'm not quite sure if I'm reading all the letters correctly, but in your walkway up to the front door, along your walkway you have two sides little planter areas, and the plants that you've selected are California poppies, dwarf mondo grass, and desert marigolds. These are kind of like lower, and they don't really give you a presence. I think it'd be a good idea to pick something a little bit more height and more permanence to it than to have something like the California poppy, which is comes in spring, flowers, and then it disappears. You kind of want that to be like a surprise, but not to be your main thing. And the little dwarf grasses, unless you use it as an entire ground cover for the whole area, I think if you just put one here, one there, they'll kind of get lost, and it won't make a whole lot of sense. It'll just kind of look like you tried, but you didn't quite get there. So I would just recommend doing something maybe like a 1 to 2 foot high, this very, it could be whatever shape or color you prefer, but something that just makes it feel like more of a arrival, that this is always going to be here, it just changes with the seasons. I mean, every now and then you have a little surprise that you find. I think under the pine tree area, you just make sure that you have enough spacing with the shrubs so that you can get in there and it doesn't look like it's overly planted or it's not planted enough. I don't quite know if, again, because I'm not quite sure how this is reading right now, but and the idea of doing like one species around the whole area, it does make it a cleaner look. So I think that's the right track to be on. Just look at the spacing and then the species in terms of like the heights. So overall, just don't get too caught up with one of this, one of that, one of this, but make sure you have enough of each species to kind of make it seem like this is purposeful and it achieves like either a hedge look or a randomness of flowers and plantings. And hopefully that helps you out. With the house, I think the staff's consideration for putting siding on the garage, I'm in favor of that. I can't find it, but on the north wall to tie that into the house. And the window is whatever it is.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I think it's a immense improvement from what it's there now. So I'm very excited to see the details and everything that is being added onto the project. I love the siding that it's been added. I think it really accentuates the details and the windows. I'm a little bit confused about the front and what the changes that are occurring. It seems like there's not much happening in the front of the entry door and the windows. It seems like it's staying, but when you're looking, drove by there, and I wanted to recall when we looked at the photographs as well, there's some window that is missing, so I wasn't sure about if the door is relocated or whatever. The only concern that I have, which I think it's something that I'm waiting for Mr. Garagos to, he's a lot more experienced in this type of architecture than I am, but the roof itself, you have a gable roof that it's existing, and you maintain the gable roof on the south elevation, on the west elevation. But then clearly to me, if you take this off, it's all continuous. So the entire building looks perfect. I mean, the details, everything is kind of coordinated. But when you start taking this out, you can see these two came at two different times. And it's very simple to carry the same gable type style roof over that. And that's why I was kind of wondering why that never came about. And that's why I was asking, what's the maximum overhang of the roof into the setback. If it's 30 inches, then I don't think we have a problem. But I just think that, you know, you have the siding and this a top portion of the gable, and then you don't have siding, which is fine. But then all of a sudden you come around and then you have this, which has nothing to do with the rest of the roof that it's being maintained, which is very simple, I think. Quick sketches, I think it's solvable. But I'm just surprised that going through all this detail and kind of figuring out all these little fine details and everything, and this roof kind of sticks out to me. I'm not sure. I would love to hear what you have to say about that. And then if you guys want me to show you what I was thinking and how to solve that, I will be more than happy to do it. But
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things I actually liked about it was the fact that it did wrap around the corner. I think, actually, in this case, bringing the gable out to match the other gables, in some ways, I think it might overpower, especially in its situation. What's so interesting about this one is its site location, that it's right on the corner and you kind of move around the building. And I think by bringing the gable out, I think it loses what's special about the site. I really do. So that's actually one of the things I really enjoyed, was that front slope pulled around and became the bay. So to actually, I think it's a very nice solution.
because it's
Very much
creating
like it.
these odd angles and odd slopes on the gable.
Not
There's-
really. They broke pitch because right now there's a broken pitch for the front porch, but
You got this and that and I
Yeah,
don't
those are all the
really
same
think
pitches.
I
Those are
don't
all the
think
same pitches.
I don't think it can be. I mean,
I've done them hundreds of times. But actually, it's really good. It works out really nicely. This flushes, this plane, one plane, just like when you're doing the bay window. See, these are all the same pitch all the way
Right.
around.
but this
And this planes.
distance is different than this distance. So how can this be the same slope as that?
Is this distance is the same as this distance?
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's how you pull it. That's how you pull it around. I mean, that's the way it should be. I can't.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out how you would get the
This is
same.
a 45 because it's a 90.
Right.
This is pulling it off of 135, so. Yeah, these should be the same because it's pulling off into the 90. Yeah, no, it actually, I mean, there may be a problem with how it's drawn, but it's correct. The concept
The
is
intention is to make a match.
correct.
To make a match, and that particular point you're looking at was the hard part. How do you wrap around a gable going into a hip roof? And that's why we came out just partly in the kitchen.
Yeah,
To be honest, when we started the design, we had a square kitchen, we had a square family room, we added on, and we had a gable roof.
Yeah.
But the more we looked at it,
yeah.
it brought the family room too close to the street because we tend to look at the gable. So we wanted to try to wrap it back around, tie it into the garage, so we still kept the gable up on the main part of the roof.
Which I like, yeah. Yeah.
And I
No, I think it's very, very successful.
I like it this way too because I think that it doesn't have this massive roof. And like you said, it kind of follows the articulation of the walls. And for me, it feels like that's more of the family style, this family area.
Yeah, no, I think what's really great about those is whenever you see, especially on a corner house, where that big wrap around the porch pulls around and
Yeah.
the roof. I think it's very site-specific, and I think it's perfect. If you're asking my opinion, I think it's perfect, yeah. Thank you very much. So I wouldn't change that. Anybody wants to make, go over any thoughts?
Okay, we heard a couple comments. Overall, the design will be a big improvement, and it's very well done. There was a concern expressed by Ms. Sakai concerning some of the landscaping choices, particularly the planting on either side of the walkway to the front door. Maybe they should be higher, 1 to 2 feet.
They should just have more permanence to it. They should
Put
look
more
like
permanence.
plants that are going to be there for a while.
Okay, more permanence.
Create a sense of arrival.
All right, and you also expressed that you weren't sure what's going on around the pine tree, and use one species in this area for a cleaner appearance, make
I
it
think
more
is one.
purposeful.
And that's overall.
Overall, okay.
where they're doing massing, that if they do one species, it does look more purposeful, and then when they want to do more accent pieces that kind of go, well, how do I put that? Where there's a hedge, they have one species, great. Where there's going to be a garden planting, have it mixed in is fine.
Okay.
And that applies to under the tree as well, so everywhere along the side.
Okay, and we heard a couple comments from Mr. Malakian concerning the changes at the front. So I'm not sure if you would like the architect to speak some more about it in terms of the changes, but there are some changes in terms of the grouping of the posts. Right now, the posts are singly placed, and they will be grouped in.
It was just not clear on the plans that there were changes being proposed, but I think they need to update their plans before they go through the permit, and
Okay.
and the DRB set should be updated according to what they wanted.
All right. And then that's about it.
The
That
siding
I
and the
have.
garage.
Oh, and the siding, the
That was a
garage is,
condition.
is part of the condition already, yeah.
So are we approving all the conditions that staff recommended?
I believe so, unless you...
Sliding windows, entry door, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You're including all of these, right?
Yes, and all staff conditions.
Okay.
Is there a
I
motion?
move to approve the project with the conditions and have any considerations, just the conditions.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Kai and a second by Mr. Malakian. This will be roll call. Mr. Kai?
Yes.
Mr. Malakian?
Yes.
Chairman Gergos?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much. Good luck. It's a great project.
Ernest.
Approval of minutes, I have 1 minute. Did these come in the package? Did everybody read these?
Yeah, they did.
They did, okay.
I think that's right
No.
now.
I couldn't remember. I looked briefly at it. It was a very long and arduous project that we went through.
No, they did not.
They didn't. Okay,
They didn't.
I think we can take a look at these.
Yeah, they're pretty
Okay.
short. Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with these.
Can I get a
I
motion?
move to approve the minutes of October 21st as written.
Second.
Second?
Motion was made to approve the minutes of October 21st, 2010. Roll call, Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
Mr. Malikian?
Yes.
Mr. Garagos?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Okay, are there any staff and board business discussions? None?
I don't have any.
Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Made it.